But today, as we mentioned, today is a special day because it is Veterans Day. So I have the privilege of recognizing a very, very special group of women in business, women who have served with honor and pride in our nation's military. So WED has chosen some spectacular, outstanding, extraordinary women. These 4 women have used their power, their intelligence, and their influence of their military careers to lend strength and boldness to their entrepreneurial mindset. So it is my pleasure to introduce these 4 amazing individuals. First up, we have Erica Webster, founder of Dub Fitness. Erica?
So I only have a few moments, and I just want to be sure that I get my message across. So I served 8 years active duty as a staff sergeant in the Military Police Corps Army. I was deployed to Guantanamo Bay. I served in Baghdad, Iraq, and I also was in Korea for a year and stateside in multiple places. And while in the military, it was a constant battle for my gender, proving that I was physically fit enough or I was qualified for a job. And I was constantly climbing up out of those trenches of stereotypes that I did not earn my position. So exiting the military and having an ugly divorce, abusive mentally, emotionally, and physically, I decided to take all of my pain, all of my brokenness, as I call it, and I turned it into positive energy, which was physical fitness. It kind of started by accident. It was just me and a group of moms who felt like they needed to get out of the house or to get away from their screaming kids just for an hour. They love their families, but they just needed that break. So it's been 4 years now, and we are an all-women facility. And I now just started training youth, and I do seminars on women empowerment and training girls, to start at the 3rd grade level, that you're beautiful, that you don't have to be skinny or get rid of that little belly that you have or be a certain way or play a certain sport. And that's kind of the message that I do at my facility. So I invite women and their girls to come, and we work out together, we drink wine together, we party together. It's just a life of wellness and empowerment, and I think that it's a good community to have, because if we are not supporting each other, then we're gonna stay inside of our homes, and we're not gonna come out of our shells, and we're not gonna start businesses, and we're not gonna wanna go meet and be able to talk to each other here. So I think that it starts with us, because we all have a story, right? When I walked in here, I was nervous, I didn't know anyone, I didn't wanna talk to anybody, and I was like, this is what I do. I'm here to help empower women. So thank you to all of you business owners, starters, those who had the idea. Do it. Take the chance, because you can. All right.
Wow, once again, let's give it up for Erica. What a great story, Erica. Thank you for sharing that inspiration. Okay, next, let's please welcome Rhonda Smith, founder of the Skirted Soldier. Rhonda?
I brought my note card just in case I forget to share with you the very important things that I learned in the service and how that's enabled me to be here today. As Erica mentioned, I also did 8 years in the service, and it was very difficult proving ourselves as females in the service. We worked twice as hard, twice as smart, twice as long to accomplish most of the things that our male counterparts did. When I left for the service, I was about 19, 20 years old, and my father, who, man of many words, that was sarcasm, says on the way to the airport, the first time the country girl's been on an airplane, he said a few things to me. One was, work hard, keep your mouth shut, do the right thing. And then as I was getting on the plane, he said, and don't forget where you came from. I thought, well, I was 19. All of those things were foreign to me. I had no idea what he was talking about. I quickly learned when I went through basic training in tech school that I most certainly had to work twice as hard, twice as smart, twice as long, and keep my mouth shut. I also learned the art of setting smart goals. The one thing the military taught me was to work hard and set goals, and our core values in the Air Force, integrity first, service before self, excellence in all you do. I can honestly say that that's how I live my life today. I learned that in the service. I learned how to set goals, and I truly believe that's why I'm here today. I spent some time overseas. I worked hard setting those goals. I wanted to go to college. That's why I joined the military. I achieved an associate's degree. I went on to get a bachelor's degree. But I had more goals. I wanted to go to grad school, and I wanted to go for business because I wanted to be a female CEO running my own company someday. And I thought, well, when I grow up and I learn what I want to do when I grow up, that's what it's going to be. It's taken me a long time to do that, but I set those goals. Also, when I was stationed overseas, I fell back in love with, farm life and country living and small town people. And it was reintroduced to me composting and gardening and recycling, and I thought, here's another goal. I'm going to move back home, I'm going to honorably discharge, and I'm going to start grad school. And I did, and I achieved that goal. And while I was doing that, I met my husband, who is here today, who also shared the same goals. And we have worked very hard to build our lives together, to raise our children together, to build a home, and to have livestock. And if it were not for their support and their patience, the Skirted Soldier would not have launched in March of this year. We're fairly new, but we are trucking along. We are setting new goals. We specialize in hand-blended artisan tea, and we give back at least 10% of our proceeds to female veterans. We have shipped out several combat care packages, and we have product now in 11 states. And our new goal is to have product in every state by our one-year anniversary, which will be March. Thank you. Thank you. So the basics of my story today is work hard, set your goals, achieve your goals, and have a good team behind you to help you achieve your goals. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rhonda. And let's give it up for her family who is here, husband and daughter. So thank you for joining us. Thank you, Rhonda. And I know after hearing your story that you will be in every state coming up soon. I know it. Okay, and next up, it is my true pleasure to introduce Kim Ramsey, founder of the Willow School. Kim?
One, I want to thank Malika, who actually nominated me for this award, and for Alyssa and her team for actually presenting this award and giving me this honor. And to City Representative Sheila, thank you so much for presenting this award. I can't tell you how honored I am. As you heard the other ladies who talked about how hard it is to be in the military, I served, I actually went to ROTC at Georgetown to pay for school. It was at a time when Reagan economics had disqualified or did away with loans. So my only way to get through Georgetown, and I was in the School of Foreign Service in international economics and studying Portuguese, I had to find a way. But one thing I did was actually come to a conference on campus kind of like this, and I saw this African-American general speaking about how it helped her to get to where she was, how it gave her confidence, how it allowed her to travel, how it allowed her to lead. And believe it or not, my family and friends say, oh, you were never quiet. But I was a very quiet, shy student in class who would never speak up. I would just do what was expected of me. But after going and getting into ROTC and I finished, there were a lot of people along the way who said, you can't be this, you can't do that. There was no way I was going to get into military intelligence. I got active duty 4 years. I went through ROTC, I went through airborne school. I jumped out of planes. I shot M60s. I led troops, and my first assignment was going to the DMZ, where people are talking about it now. I was a forwardly deployed female in an infantry unit. They told me after I graduated I was going to go to a desk job and to be an attaché and escort people around the world. No, I was constantly in an infantry unit. In the field most of my time, in combat gear. And then I went on to go, I was a first lieutenant, and they put me into a captain's position in charge of 1,500 soldiers. So right away, you learn that you have to figure it out. You have to dig down deep. And one thing that the military has taught me that I want to impart on all of you all is I became fearless. Meaning I feared less of the obstacles, I feared less of the naysayers, I feared less of the sexism, discrimination, the racism that I faced. So going through the military helped me to say that if I've gone through all of this and I've overcome all of this, why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? There's nothing in the way that can do this. So owning the Willow School, I opened a child care center. This is actually my third career. After the military, I went on to be an HR manager and director for manufacturing companies. Then I also have 3 children, actually young adults now. But what I did along the way, and I have a fabulous husband, he would be here today, but he also is an entrepreneur that I kind of helped him, thrust him into that place. But it's to step out in faith, to step out and do what you're called to do. So after I got out of, I had 3 children, and I was they were always in childcare. And I realized there's a business in helping children. So I found a way, again, looking for resources and people, found a way to figure it out. I first owned a franchise, and then I realized that there weren't quality schools, early ed, serving the underserved children, the most needed. And people always said, there's no money in that, there's no money in that. But when you're serving others and doing what's best, the money does come. So I did start a child care center in Norristown, the heart of Norristown, 6 years ago. We are star 4, the highest quality in the state of Pennsylvania, quality. I'm proud of my children, I'm proud of my families, and I just want to say thank you. This has been an honor, and if anything I can leave you with is have a fearless mindset. Fearless. Fearless of all that's going to happen, and just step out there and do it. I know this conference, you've heard a lot of things, but one is to be fearless, and the military helped me to do that. And it's an honor, it's been an honor to serve my country and now my community. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Kim. Prior to my career as city representative, I worked almost 25 years at Independence Blue Cross, and our theme was Live Fearless. So that's exactly what you're saying. Okay, now for our 4th and final honoree. So we have an honoree who unfortunately could not be here today, but I actually know her very well, and she is truly deserving of this award. So for Carol Eggers, she is the Senior Vice President for Military Affairs at Comcast NBC Universal. We have someone here representing Comcast's role to accept this award on her behalf. Please join Christopher Hoyler here to accept the WED Award on her behalf. Christopher?
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Elisa, and your team for representing everybody here and for having us. I think if Carol was here, she would want me to speak on her behalf, but she's not here, so I'm going to brag about her and talk about what an amazing leader she is as a boss. But first, some of her military background. Carol served over a 5-decade span, more than 30 years. She joined the Army in 1972, and it was actually still the Women's Army Corps when it was still segregated. If you ever have time to look up what the Army was like before it was integrated, it's an amazing story. But Carol rose up through the ranks and retired in 2014 as a brigadier general. And it's interesting, you know, I'm sure you're probably thinking, Comcast, like a company with so many employees, what's the entrepreneurial point? There are some people here representing the company who have a lot of roles in supporting entrepreneur, but I think if there's one person that I could point to in the company that has an entrepreneurial spirit and has executed on it, it's Carol. She was brought on in 2015 to start a brand new team, Military and Veteran Affairs, for a company that, like I said, has 164,000 employees, operates in 34 states, and she was charged with basically saying, hey, we need a strategy to engage the military as customers, as community partners, as employees. And she went out, she built an 8-person team from scratch. And the message she would have, I think Erica touched on it earlier, that she took in all of this was to go out and tell your story. And she did that. And she did that to the point where today the company has the infrastructure to say that since 2015, we hired more than 10,000 veterans, military spouses, and National Guard and Reserve members. And that infrastructure is built to the point where last week we announced that we're going to hire 11,000 more between now and 2021. And that's literally all due to Carol. Like I said, she built the team from scratch. She had to hire all of us who are veterans on her team. And we just went out and canvassed the entire country and told our story about being veterans and the power of military talent, both as veterans and as military spouses. So again, Elisa and the team and everybody here, thank you for supporting Comcast and entrepreneurial engagement, both as veterans and as women. Thank you.
All right, one more time. Let's give a huge WED round of applause for Erica, for Rhonda, for Kim, and for Carol, AKA Christopher. Thank you all for your service and for the privilege of recognizing you today and for hearing your stories. And I want to thank you for inviting the City of Philadelphia. Thank you so much, Elisa, for having us to be part of this highly valued WED Philadelphia program. I just want to say congratulations to all the speakers who've already spoken in the morning session, who still have to come, the committee who has worked tirelessly and so hard to organize this great event, and to you, all those who took time out of your day to be here for your attendance, to learn, become more motivated, network, and remember what Maya Angelou has always said. She says, each time a woman stands up for herself, she stands up for all women. And it's not what you said or what you did, but it's how you make someone feel that they will always remember you. And so we leave you with those inspiring words, and we applaud you and thank you so much for all that you're doing, and hope you're doing it here in the city of Philadelphia with your next entrepreneurial stuff. Just saying. So thank you and congratulations.